Questions out there, including the ones reported, is that they wonder where the National Assembly got monies to move or to increase the budget by 143 billion, much more than what the president initially submitted. And then they also asked how the National Assembly added an additional 10 billion naira to their own budgets. They say at a time where hard times for the country, where would those monies come from?
Good question. Nigerians are fully aware that these were all predicated on some assumptions, and I think you've just carried it now. First, number one is that our sources of income or revenue, apart from the non-oil sector, the oil itself was predicated on 2.2 million barrels per day. And I think for the good part of 2016, after this, the Niger Delta crisis has been tamed a little, we have sustained the 2.2 million barrels production quota. So based on that, we assume it is achievable. Now, with the mechanism put in place in 2016 by this administration, you see that a lot of wastages, loophole for wastage, have been blocked. So, and was it not in March last year that the contribution of non-oil revenue on what the revenue mobilization and fiscal, I mean, do you call it this statutory account distribution to state, federal, state, and local government? Well, the contribution of non-oil revenue was more than 70%. So Nigeria has achieved that feat. Now, having that in mind, you see, we now also raise the oil price from 42.5 as presented by the executive or as laid by Mr. President with $2. This is taken into consideration that for quite some time now, for more than 7 months, the price, the international price of crude has remained relatively hovering between 46, 48, 50. In fact, as of yesterday morning, or yesterday Monday morning, it was about $51 per barrel. Now, with all the Saudi Arabia now reducing his own quota, has shoot the price. So our emphasis is that the price will remain at least around 50. So for us to assume a $44.5 per barrel, we are not being over-ambitious. With that, we achieve an additional 140 billion something that we added. This is taken into consideration, one, to sustain the 2.2 million barrel production. You have to actually sustain the amnesty program that has been put in place, because it is now apparent that the amnesty program that was put in place was able to at least tame the Niger Delta militants for this vandalization. So we added about 10 billion to that amnesty. National Identity Card Management, which is a system that also the money goes there. I have the breakdown. If I can remove my glass, I think I can take you through that. So we have backing of COF members that goes about 13 billion. Justice too, we have judgment debts that is on the federal government about 10 billion. Repairs of Abuja Air Runway, that also was not envisaged. The money was borrowed, 5.8. Increase in personnel costs. I can talk like the committee I'm chairing, road safety, has a deficit of personnel costs, and it cut across MDS. So some amount of money, also about 5.1 for 18 MDS, were added for personnel costs. UNESCO access contribution, about 1.2 in terms of education. Now, subscription to Shelter Africa, Power, Works and Housing, how about 3.6? Economic Recovery and Growth Plan, which is service-wide vote, how about 2.5? I talk about the amnesty program, I talk about the national identity card, that have about 5 billion. Then road nationwide has more than 30 billion. Now, in general, we added almost about 25 or thereabout to the judiciary and about over 30 to the executive arm. Then the National Assembly, we added only 10 billion to take care of some other exigencies that to enable us propel this country now that the issue of transparency is there. For the first time in the history of Nigeria since 1999, political dispensation to date, the National Assembly budget was subjected to public hearing. Hitherto, it has not yet been done. We spent a lot of money to conduct about 3-day popular hearing to allow people to make input on the submission of the executive. That one was done. And that is what made this budgetary, the process a little bit more transparent, more comprehensive, because there are a lot of input. I remember on Friday, Nigerian Union of Journalists visited us. After we pilot the showcase, they monitored it with keen interest. They gave a vote of confidence that at least they are proud of what the National Assembly has done this time.
Which was also reported in the papers today, OPEC saying Nigeria produces about 1.4 million barrels per day.
Well, that's their own, but the record we have is that we sustained the $2.2 billion. But if something happens that we have 1.4, I wouldn't doubt that figure. But what we have on record, because we work on record, present a verifiable record for that matter.
You have talked very extensively about options for funding these budgets. I'm wondering, after you've made an elaborate paper review of the way the breakdown has gone for you, are you confident that this budget, in 1983 it was called the budget of recovery, it is also called the budget of recovery at this time, will it get us out of recession?
Yep. Definitely. When you see the indices as of yesterday, inflation now is less than 17%, about 16 point something. That is the inflation rate. So when you look at the London Economic Institute have already rated Nigeria to be out of recession. But suffice to say that with the injection of money into capital projects, especially roads, you empower the contractors, then it's a kind of a cycle. Go down to the laborers and to the common man. When there is more money in circulation, definitely people have the purchasing power, and you can now afford the goods. And there could be less competition because the money is hand. And when there is more money in circulation, it touches the Nigerian individual, and it impacted positively on the Nigerian populace. So when you take the 2016, when this government came, there are a backlot of debts owned by internal contractors. If time will permit, I will have gone down to see that in the debt servicing of about 1.8, almost about 1.5 is for local debt. Only about 0.4 that goes for servicing foreign debt. So you see that the focus of this 2017 budget is actually a budget of recovery to deepen or to hasten or to add or to consolidate the gains of the 2016 budget. Because now we have a lot of money, there are no liabilities have been reduced, so we have more money to positively at least put Nigeria forward.
I'm really curious because one of the predications for funding of this budget is based on the oil revenue that we are having. We've pegged it about just over $40 to a barrel. That is largely riding on the backs of the safety in the Niger Delta. What happens then if, in an instance, you have the upheavals again in the Niger Delta? What then for this country?
Well, in the first place, we are being optimistic that we have extracted a commitment from the Niger Delta militants. Their problem is about the amnesty, and sustaining the amnesty program will go a long way in ensuring a lasting peace in the Niger Delta. And that's why we told you what necessitated the 10 billion addition for the amnesty program, because it has yielded result. And part of the agitation is that the amnesty have not been paid due diligence. To some extent in 2016, this government has not paid due credit to the amnesty program. Now that it has been fully back 100%, and with this additional fund to meet up the inadequacy in fund, we are assuring and we have extracted a commitment from the Niger Delta that a lasting peace is going to. So that will guarantee the expectation from that quarter.
How soon do you think that this budget should be transmitted to the executive? Because what we also heard was that the executive is yet to receive the budget as passed by the National Assembly.
Well, if they are yet to receive, I wouldn't be surprised, because the budget was just passed on Thursday. We had only Friday working day and Monday for them to transmute. But all I know is that all the details, the nitty-gritty of the budget has been done. Unlike previous years, that you submit a summary of the budget, then the details will follow in 2 weeks' time. Part of the thing that this budget became protracted was that the details were presented and laid on the floor and passed. So the whole thing is being transmitted. So if they didn't receive it up to, as I'm talking to you, at least by the end of today, or better tomorrow, they will have been in full receipt. That is one thing. As to the time when the budget will be implemented is, the assent of Mr. President. Now that we have an acting president in place, probably if he's satisfied with the job of the National Assembly, he assented. If he doesn't, probably he returned the document to us, and there is the constitutional provision.
Do you envisage that could happen?
No, we don't. Because in the preparation of this budget, we carried them along. The executive are with us. Anything that we did it in collaboration. So something that they are a party to it, I don't think they will reject a document if the genuine document has been transmitted to them.